AFC states. MMC has not given the public a good idea of how many hours we're likely to see from the new power plant. The AFC is deliberately vague, stating that 600 hours a year is a more realistic number than 4,000 hours a year, which is near the technical capacity. So this creates a sizable range of anywhere between 500 and about 2,300 hours a year. So, and since the potential exists that the plant would run at its maximum level, and it's extremely unlikely it will run at its minimum, these are the assumptions that must be made to assess whether or not the location is helpful for residents. Now, possibility of expansion. The peaker plant currently sits on the southern part of the lot. The new turbines will be placed on the northern section of the lot. The old portion of the plant will be removed, leaving the southern portion of the lot with what MMC described as a shed for storage. In the simulated aerial view of the project, which we just saw, this shed is represented by an unassuming green building. Easily, this green structure could be removed, or not built in the first place, leaving room for another possible expansion. Suddenly, the 44.5 megawatt plant would go to 100 megawatts, and then possibly even 150 megawatts. MMC knows that section of the lot could hold turbines, since it's done so for 7 years. Originally, the city granted a license to a 44.5 megawatt facility, as it was a relatively small facility, deemed necessary during an energy emergency, and did so even then grudgingly. In fact, when the city was presented with a possible expansion less than 8 months later, it vociferously fought it. Now, this 45.5 megawatt small measure is likely to become a much more substantial 100 megawatt presence. Subsequently, it can even be more easily turned into an even larger menace. A much larger plant will create more pollutants, more greenhouse gas emissions, and more traffic from ammonia supply trucks. A dangerous new precedent would be created if the proposed plant is certified. If the city and CEC allow a 100 megawatt power plant in an area set aside for limited industrial, it'd be difficult to limit future expansions. What exactly would be too large to be placed on the lot? Would 200 megawatts still be limited industrial? How about 500 megawatts? That's the size of a major baseload plant. Renewable energy. As a member of the Chula Vista Climate Change Working Group, one of VHC's goals in regard to our work in Chula Vista is the development of renewable energy sources that will serve to reduce our reliance on dirty fossil fuel generation, reduce carbon emissions, improve air quality, and improve energy security. Such steps must be taken in order to create a new energy future that is clean and sustainable. Unfortunately, the MMC peaker expansion, or again, more accurately, the new MMC power plant, does nothing to create a more sustainable energy future and curb greenhouse gas emissions, in that it does not include any commitments to implement renewable energy or finance energy efficiency to offset future need of this gas-fired plant. It is EHC's position that all new gas-fired projects must, as part of their proposal, incorporate other energy sources in compliance with the preferred loading order. The Energy Action Plan, adopted in 2003 by the CEC and the CPUC, clearly placed conventional power plants in last priority after energy efficiency, renewables, and distributed generation. Because this proposal does nothing to add energy resources from the front of the loading order, the MMC peaker plant, the new one, is once again part of the problem, not the solution. The original power plant received certification from the city of Chula Vista in 2000. Since that time, our understanding of the need for a more sustainable energy future has evolved. We now have a greater understanding of what causes global warming. As residents of San Diego County, we recently have been reminded of what some of the effects of global warming can be. Therefore, it is incumbent on new power projects to reflect what the region needs with respect to energy generation in the region. Clean, sustainable, and renewable. The proposed MMC plant contains none of these. Some supporters of the new power plant claim that this will remove or contribute to the removal of the reliability must-run designation for the South Bay power plant. We're not so convinced. A smart and prudent approach to removing RMR includes a hybrid approach merging energy efficiency, renewable energy, and distributed generation with traditional fossil fuel development. This particular project is unsupportable because it reflects no such approach. In regards to the water usage, in a region suffering from drought conditions and the need to tightly conserve our water resources, it is not reasonable for MMC to propose a power plant that could use up to 28 million gallons per year of water. MMC's own estimate is that the plant would likely use 4.2 million gallons per year on process and cooling water. tremendous amount of water to use on a peaker plant. Alternatives. The alternative section of the AFC is incomplete and must include a more detailed analysis of why some of the alternatives were ruled out. First, in regard to the alternative locations, none of the assessments of the alternative locations discuss proximity to communities and schools. Since one of the biggest drawbacks to the siting of the proposed power plant is its proximity to homes and schools, it is reasonable to conclude that a fair review of the alternatives must include the same information. The AFC, however, does not analyze that. Also in the area of alternatives, closed sections of the landfill and site in the eastern areas should have been, but were not, analyzed. These sites would be more effectively buffered from sensitive receptors. While we understand that using the current infrastructure is one of the project's objectives, surely protection of public health is equally, if not more, important. Finally, there is a curious statement regarding the use of SCONOX as a NOx control alternative. In the application, MMC states that, quote, although a potentially promising technology, SCONOX has not been commercially demonstrated on a large power plant. Well, this is the main argument against the use of SCONOX. However, it's confusing considering MMC's earlier description of the project is that it's consistent with a limited industrial designation. So either the new power plant is a large plant that should be viewed as such in regard to land use and siting, or it is a small plant, and thus a more detailed evaluation of the SCONOX alternative would be presented. So, in conclusion, after very careful deliberation and study, we have come to the conclusion that this is another fossil fuel burning power plant in a wrong location, and it is not what the city of Chula Vista needs to create a sustainable energy future and promotion of community health. We wish to restate that we urge the CEC, the CalISO, and local authorities to work together to help our region devise a comprehensive plan to meet our energy needs, protect our health, secure our energy future, reduce our carbon emissions, and remove the RMR from the South Bay Power Plant. We stand ready to help achieve the goal in any way we can. However, in this case, the problems with siting, land use designations, general plan policies, potential air emissions, lack of renewable energy, and inadequate information regarding alternatives makes this project unsatisfactory for the city and the region as a whole. And therefore, EAC must oppose this project, and we are planning to petition to intervene. Thank you.